very pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Morning Briefing. I'm Jeff DeForest, along with Mike Lubitz, and we are going to try once again to help you bury your bookmaker, although we might have buried everybody yesterday with our bizarre theories about the Kansas City Chiefs. The dogs are barking.
Yes,
They're
maybe we'll have
barking.
a change in heart today from AFC to NFC.
Yeah. We're going right to the NFC. And now, you know what? I may want to amend some of my opinions about those AFC games. I don't know about laying 10 with the Buffalo Bills in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, because if you read the weather reports, as atrocious as it's supposed to be in Kansas City for the Kansas City-Miami game, 8 below, the frozen tundra. Jerry Kramer sent Jethro Pugh into row number 42. Has a quarterback sneak, never mind the tush-push and the brotherly shove, has a quarterback sneak ever received more attention? Think about this, Lubie. I can still envision that play, and it took place in 1967. This was a half-yard run by Bart Starr over the right guard position. But it's going to be snowing, like 6 feet of snow in Buffalo for this ball game. 6 feet of snow. Now, that doesn't always mean that nobody's going to score. Yeah. So you might be inclined to just be a little bit cautious. See, underdogs all the way.
I know. I'm trying to find dogs. I feel bad. I'm like,
there's chaos taking place here at the DeForest Studios. But yeah, you might be inclined to take a look, at the total in that Buffalo Steelers game and think, well, there's going to be like 3 points scored. Let's not forget the total was 41 in the frozen tundra game. 41, and nobody could move. I mean, as we were talking about yesterday on the show, the tuba players from the Wisconsin lacrosse band, the Mighty Fighting Huskies or whatever they are, their lips were frozen to their instruments. Hyperthermia, I think, was the name of the disease. And I think that's the only disease right now that I'm not suffering from after that stint in the hospital. All right, let's get into it. A couple of things, though. Just a quick note here. Following a legend. Now, Bill Belichick yesterday, he was... would you say he was canned? I mean, this was one of those deals like when they call you into the studio and the program director says, hey, you guys are doing a great job, Lubie and Defo, but unfortunately, we're going in another direction. You imagine the look on Belichick's face. What direction? What are you talking about, Bobby? I've got pictures. But it's not easy to replace a legend in any sport. We've seen guys do it successfully. I'll never forget when I was a neophyte and I was trying to get into the business. I was trying to get some interviews so I could have a writing sample, get into the newspaper business, and I managed to score an interview with the guy who replaced John Wooden, Gene Bartow. So I go to Gene Bartow's office, and he was a perfect gentleman, just a real likable guy. And he goes, his record the first year with UCLA, get this, Lubie, 28-4.
Oh, Jesus.
He goes 28-4. He finishes third. They used to have a consolation game for third place in the NCAA tournament. And he wins the consolation game. His only loss in the tournament was to Indiana, who went undefeated that year under another legend, Bobby Knight. He comes back the next year and goes 24-5, and they wanted to throw this guy into the La Brea Tar Pits and have Bill Walton standing by with Jerry Garcia so they could play "You're Riding That Train High on." They couldn't wait to get this guy out of town. He ended up at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, where he made a nice legacy for himself there, and took that program. When you first heard UAB, you were asking yourself, well, where the fuck is that? Not easy. I mean, think about that. The guy goes 28-4, third place in the NCAA tournament, makes the Sweet 16 the next year, and they can his ass. They ran him out of town. They couldn't get him out on the 10 freeway heading east from the second that season ended. So not an easy thing to do. We're going to try and create some legend here today, and I'm going to give you a pick that is so absurd. Okay. Lubie, you're going to laugh at me. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and lay the 3 points in the Philadelphia Eagles game. They are on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who in the postseason is less impressive than Tampa Bay has been all season long? Think about it. I mean, life and death. They could have easily lost that game to a 2-win Carolina team. Could have easily been on the losing end. Did you see any of the details on that game? Carolina has what appears to be a touchdown. And the receiver who goes into the end zone fumbles like a millimeter before he hits the cone, the pylon. And they review it, and they go through Zapruder film like tactics. And finally, they realize that the ball went out of the end zone and goes over to Tampa Bay. 7 points taken off the board for the Carolina Panthers. And Tampa Bay ends up after a missed field goal also by Carolina, like a chip shot field goal. So there's 10 points erased, and Tampa Bay wins that game 9-0. So even though Tampa Bay won a slew of games at the end of the year, I think they won 4 out of their last 5. Totally unimpressive. The Philadelphia Eagles, on the other hand, appear to be a catastrophe at this point. Nick Sirianni, is he not your favorite coach, Louis?
I just
You
think
don't
success.
You're like a Philadelphia fan here. I mean, I know we're in South Florida, but you're very much like a Philadelphia fan. I mean, Nick Sirianni, think about this. The guy is one questionable call away from winning the Super Bowl. That out-of-bounds late hit call on Patrick Mahomes, if that doesn't happen, if that flag doesn't go flying in the air, the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl in Nick Sirianni's first year as a head coach. A very difficult accomplishment. They come back this year. They go 10-1. Weren't as impressive as they were in their course of their season the year before. But 10-1 still, and a lot of people were saying, well, with San Francisco, had gone into that little bit of a swoon where they lost 3 in a row. And many people were saying, well, you would have to say that Philadelphia is the best team in the National Football League right now. What are they saying about Philadelphia now? Pure garbage. I mean, this guy, Nick Sirianni, all of a sudden, he's got Ed Ogeron syndrome. He's not just on the hot seat. He's got a boilerplate underneath his ass. And if he loses in the first round of the playoffs and fails to win in Tampa Bay coming up this weekend, can you really fire a guy who went to the Super Bowl and then had a 10-1 start to the season? Badly banged up. We know that Jalen Hurts has not been himself all season long, whether it's the shoulder, whether it's his knees. He's got a dislocated finger that he suffered in the last game against the Giants that the Eagles played. You have A.J. Brown, an outstanding receiver, a game-changing receiver. He's been banged up. Devontae Smith is not 100%. A lot of questions about the Philadelphia Eagles, but I'm going to go ahead and lay the 3 points with the Philadelphia Eagles in this ballgame. How insane are you, DeForest? Because I just can't see Tampa Bay winning this game, even though they've been accorded by the Fugazi system that exists in the NFL, despite their lowly record and seeming lack of achievement and Baker Mayfield's resurrection. They've been accorded the home field for this game over Philadelphia, who had a better record. One of those rare oddities that you see in postseason play. Lousy division. They win it. In fact, the Falcons, who fired their coach before he even got to the car in his parking lot, Arthur Smith, they were alive to win the division on the last week of the season. Incredible. Yep. You had such a crummy division that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were playing in. They played 2 games against 6 lousy teams, or 6 total games against 3 lousy teams. And I'm going to have to say that I'm going to go ahead and think that as lousy and pathetic as the Philadelphia Eagles looked in losing 5 of their last 6 games, Lubie, are you bold enough to go ahead and lay the 3 on the road, taking a road dog in the NFC playoffs, and the Philadelphia Eagles put a ring around them? They'll make it to the second round, where if they don't get their players back to health, they will subsequently get crushed like a grape by whoever they face. Philadelphia Eagles -3 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The other 2 NFC games, the Rams are they alive against the Detroit Lions?
I was going to say, you're going a road favorite. I'm going to go. It's funny. I can see the Lions being a team that catches fire, but the Rams have actually played pretty well near the end, and I trust McVay more than I trust Campbell. So I was so chalk heavy yesterday. I'm going to go Rams getting 3 over the Lions. I'm going to go for a dog. And the Lions are everyone's favorite because they haven't been there in forever. And they actually have played really well, but they've had their struggles. I think the Rams, who no one's talking about because the last couple of years they've been down.
They're red hot right now. Sean McVay is running back.
Stafford's a lot healthier than he was. Donald's still there. And McVay is a good coach. I'm going to go Rams because I was so chalk yesterday. I'm going to go Rams over the Lions. I think the Lions, if they got going, could be scary. But if you get them early on, then they're out of it. And then the Rams could be an interesting team. So I'm going to go Rams. My first upset pick of the playoffs, Rams getting 3 over the Lions.
You love defying the credo, which is never lay any points. If you're going to take a favorite, take them on the money line. Never lay any points. It's a path to catastrophe and disaster. So Rams +3 for Lubie. I'm going to stay out of that game. I'm a big Dan Campbell fan. I think he's going to eat a wild board against Pirates team before the ball game even starts. And you're going to go ahead and see the Detroit Lions at home. I mean, there's so much riding on this. They haven't had a home playoff game, I think, since Milt Plum was playing there. So I'm going to stay out of that game. And the Cowboys at home are just too tough. As the Packers came down the stretch, they were pretty hot. There's a lot of conversation now about Jordan Love and the status of the Packers quarterback position. All of a sudden, I don't know that he's the second coming of Aaron Rodgers, and you see a parallel there. But they did score 17 points or more, I think, in most of their ball games all season long. They can put some points on the board. The over might be attractive in that one. The Dallas Cowboys, though, at home are a different animal. And I think the Cowboys laying 7 in that ball game might be the bet to consider. But I like the fact that you stepped out and stepped, onto the ledge. You're right on the ledge of the Acapulco Cliffs there, taking the smoking hot Los Angeles Rams. And look, the two receivers that they have are red hot, Pakua and Cooper Kupp, who was injured at the beginning of the year. They've certainly turned their fortunes around, worthy of consideration. So we'll see who comes out on top. Lubie, Rams +3. Me, Eagles -3. Go ahead and unload, mortgage the house, sell your car, and get yourself 20 or 30 dimes on both of those plays.
And the last game, Packers-Cowboys. Cowboys being at home, I tend to lean that way. I don't like the 7. The Packers are actually playing really well. Jordan Love has looked really good lately. So I would take the score on that one. I think over 50 and a hook. These are two offenses that are playing really well. We know the Cowboys score a lot at home, and the Packers have actually figured it out. So I would go over 50 and a hook, Packers, Cowboys.
All right. Your final there, 3-0.
Exactly.
That Aubrey field goal stands up. And how about that? That Dallas defense, they really did a lot to shut them down. All right. That's it. We hope you guys have a lot of success. Should be very enjoyable. We'll catch you on Monday. The next edition for Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest, and we'll catch you on the next edition of the Morning Briefing here on NoFilter.net.